Welcome to a quick sharp review of Vermis 1 and 2 and God Husk, Rebirth, all by Plastiboo. I'm going to be talking about the physical structure of the release. I'm going to be talking about the sort of story and artwork inside, and lastly, what music I'd recommend listening to when reading it. So basically, just if you don't know, the premise of these books is that they're sort of fake game manuals, right? So there's sort of strategy guides or walkthroughs of games that do not exist. Retro sort of creepy, dark fantasy or sci-fi in God Husk's case. And the feeling you get reading these is like if you've ever, as a child, been to a friend's house and played a video game on like their PS1 or their N64, and when you think about it now, you think, was that a real memory or was some of that my dream? That's sort of the feeling, it's all this sort of surreal nature of playing those games. So really cool, interesting idea. Having a look at the physical structure. So Vermis 1 and 2 are related, so that's sort of within the same world, and that's sort of like a dark fantasy, Dark Souls type of one. Interestingly, they went with a different format in terms of the size of the book. So Vermis 1, Lost Dungeons and Forbidden Woods, just like a standard book size, and then this one's a little bit thicker width-wise, a little bit shorter lengthwise, which makes them look really cool. And again, you sort of like get this feeling like this has been unearthed from somewhere. All this weird sort of dream logic happens in these, which is really cool. So those have these beautiful coloured pages with paper that's sort of consistent across these two. And then God Husk has more of a glossy finish on the outside and on the inside as well. So more sort of standard in terms of what you would expect with most sort of comic books or Western style comic books. These are all on HoloPress's website, which my understanding is they're fairly popular products there because Plastiboo does such a great job. So you just get all this amazing, insane artwork. And if you've ever been like a fan of Dark Souls and that style of storytelling where there's descriptions of places or items that tell the lore of the place, this is going to be exactly up your alley. I sort of think of it like, and it's the sort of feeling that I got playing Dark Souls and Demon Souls as well, playing like Ocarina of Time back on the Nintendo, and sort of filling in the blanks of these places you're going to and the bosses you're defeating and the reasons why they're there. All of the story is really in the blanks, which is what you're filling in with your mind, which is just such an amazing way to tell a story. And because I guess everyone's interpretation is different, and so a lot of things are left to the imagination. You get some great outlines of dungeon maps and the different monsters that you can find there, and a lot of it doesn't really follow a linear nature in terms of there'll be dreams that happen which then transport the character elsewhere. Great sort of designs here. Vermis 2 is a little bit more linear in terms of that it follows a character and their sort of narrative journey. So I guess it's got a little bit more structure in that regard. They're both quite different in terms of what to expect, but both sort of scratch that itch of all this sort of lore building. I think that HoloPress markets these as lore game books, and they've got a few others out that I'll be talking about when I get my hands on them. But just an awesome way to tell a story, leaves you thinking about it for days afterwards and sort of drawing connections in your mind about characters and locations. And I'm looking forward to more from the Vermis universe when Plastiboo gets around to doing that, because it just makes this whole sort of complete world that you're getting invested in over time, learning about the different gods and the different factions. Just super cool. If you're a fan of dark fantasy or old games and horror games, it's just a really great atmosphere. And God Husk is more of like a retro sci-fi setting. I'd equate it to like Geiger's work, is obviously an influence here. And I would say that this one probably has more information about the mechanics of the pretend game, which is interesting. Again, it has a completely different feel to the others. There's sort of details here about how to get different endings, about strategies against certain enemies, about shortcuts in between places. These are just really amazing books, and I'm a massive fan of all of Plastiboo's work here. It's just genuinely original, exciting stuff, and looking forward to seeing more. In terms of music that I recommend listening to, Plastiboo has made playlists on Spotify for each of these books. There's also a Sounds of the World album for Lost Dungeons and Forbidden Woods, which has tracks correlating to sections of the book. So you can give that a listen as well. They also have it available as a cassette on Hollow Press's website, which is cool, but I don't know how maybe people have cassette players. But Spotify is a much easier place to see this. So I'll put the links in the description. And yeah, consider checking these out, or any of the other lore game books there. I'll certainly be talking about more once I get my hands on them. This isn't sponsored. I just think that they're a great publisher, and Plastiboo is a great artist and great storyteller. So yeah, I'll be talking a bit more about the lore game books in the future. Thanks. Bye.